Hello, my name is Michael Simmons. I'm a solutions architect here at Anchore, and today we're going to walk through Anchore's ability to integrate into a CI workflow from source code through the build and remediation process. Anchore has the concept of applications, which allows for source code and container SBOMs to be associated and compared to see what vulnerabilities are brought in during the build process. If we take a look here, we're looking at the applications view within Anchore. We created an application for a registry in GitLab that we'll look at in a minute. This is broken down into two builds that we've run, and we'll kind of walk through this process here in a second. If we go over to GitLab, we're going to look at the simple build process that we put in place for this demo. We're generating a source code SBOM for a source code based around this Docker file initially. From there, we're going to generate that SBOM, push it up to Anchore and associate it with that application like we saw before. We're going to pull a set of vulnerability results for the KEV list, which is the known exploited vulnerability list from CISA, and then create tickets from that. We're going to build the image using Podman, push it up to the GitLab registry. We're going to add that image to Anchore to be scanned, and then we're going to pull the results from the image as well. And then we're going to generate issues in GitLab based on those results from the policy findings of that KEV list. If we take a look at this Docker file, it's pretty simple. We're building on top of Ubi 9.1. We're running as user root. We're copying in an entry point. We install a few packages, but the thing we should look at here is we are also installing a vulnerable version of Log4j, the one that had the critical vulnerability back in December of 2021. Going back to this pipeline, we generate our source code SBOM. We take a look at that here. That's this right here. We're going to generate our policy compliance on the fly. And as we can see, there are no rules matched, even though we have the CISA KEV bundle applied against that. So if it was able to detect any issues or any of those vulnerabilities that are on that list, they would show up here. As we can see, since that particular Log4j version was pulled in during the build, it's not available in that source code repository. So it's not going to show up in this list. So we pass. Our final action is a go. And that is reflected here. So we go past this stage. We build the image. We're going to push it to Anchore to be scanned. And then this last stage, if we take a look at this, is going to generate some issues. So you can see we failed our policy. If we go take a look at what failed, we have tickets generated for this. And we have two that came up. We have both of these CVEs, both associated with Log4j. Now this workflow is for GitLab. We also will go through the workflow within Anchore after this. But this is the main one, the critical vulnerability that had a 10 score. So we're going to say, okay, we need to remove this. So we'll add this to our risk declined, I guess same with this one, and say, hey, send this to our developer. This is our workflow. They'll be looking at this board and say, oh, I need to remove these. So what we did, we'll say, okay, we're going to remove that. For the workflow within Anchore, before we get to that the image with the removed Log4j issue, we'll take a look at this image here. This image is the fully built image. And as you can see, we have those two results here. And we're going to want to tell our developers, hey, we need to remove this, just like we did in GitLab. So we're going to say, give them a remediation task to remove this version of Log4j. I'm going to add that to my action workbench, and I'm going to do the same with the second one. And this action workbench is basically like a shopping cart. And it'll let you push out these results to any endpoint that you like. And here's the list of those endpoints. So say we'll send this out via Slack to our development team. They'll say, okay, I need to go remediate that. And they will push up this Docker file, which has that version removed. From there, we're going to go back through that pipeline process exactly as we did before, generating our source code SBOM. We pass our results there. We're going to build that image, add it to Anchore to be scanned, and then finally we're going to have tickets created if in fact it doesn't have any stop actions from the policy. If we take a look in here, we'll see, okay, we got our evaluation of pass. We go back into Anchore, take a look at our application. Here's our source code repository for the second one, or for the second build. As you can see, same as the first one, it had an action of go. We'll go back and we'll look at the actual built image as well. So now that that image is built, we'll take a look in here and we'll see there are no results, no rules matched in this policy bundle. So we did in fact resolve and remediate that log4j issue. And we see that here as well. So now we can go back to our development board. We can say, okay, these have been worked. We're going to go ahead and close those out, and we can proceed with our build process. And this is just kind of a general overview of the CI integration into Anchore with source code SBOM all the way through build, through the remediation workflow, and then ultimately from here you can take it and push that to your runtime environment. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.